where my WTR increased, and that was mostly due to utilizing the view range effectively. So knowledge about view range is very useful in the game. Apart from spotting enemies, you can also use this knowledge so that enemies don't spot you, like in this incident. Many old players don't know about this, and this is one of the proofs among the many pieces of evidence and incidents that I have experienced. And after checking his statistics, it turns out he has played more than 67,000 battles, which is really hard to believe, because after fighting that many times he doesn't even have enough knowledge about this game. View range is very important, and if used well it can lead your team to victory, and at least increase your score in battle. Experienced and smart players will usually take maximum advantage of this, especially if they meet beginners and inexperienced opponents. You must have experienced in the game, when the vehicle is moving towards a position, then suddenly hear the sound. Which means you are spotted, but you don't see the enemy at all. So this time we will discuss specifically about view range, and how to make it more effective. Not only new players, even many old players don't pay attention to this, but if you know about this it will certainly make your game better. I have proven it last month when I was grinding light tanks and medium tanks, where my WTR increased, and that was mostly due to utilizing the view range effectively, but I'm not the type of person who cares about WTR or win rate because I play for fun and always increase my knowledge by play a different tank every month, and don't forget I'm a free player that has some limitations. And as a free player who always plays a new tank every month and with a crew with no skills and even less than 100% training, I think these statistics are quite good. And you need to remember that I'm the type of player who tends to be active and aggressive, so I don't just camp in the bush and wait for the enemy to come, although I also do that sometimes because of the circumstances and the vehicles used when playing. And this is the statistics of my new account, even though the WTR is lower but the win rate is higher, but I won't say it's because of me, because only selfish people think like that. When he wins he thinks it's because of him, then when he loses he realizes that it turns out he also needs other people on his team, and then tries to find fault with someone in the team to insult. So I'm showing this just to prove that my game is getting better because of all the knowledge I've gained, and I'll tell you everything I know in all the videos I'll upload in the future. And if you are a beginner you don't need to think about these statistics, focus on increasing your experience and knowledge and learning from your mistakes in this channel, and don't forget your goal in playing is to have fun, so don't let anything ruin your fun, including these statistics and players who often rant and blame you. As you can see right now I am playing with a light tank. In this situation I serve as an eye for my team to spot the enemy, and for that view range is the main and most important thing to do my job. Apart from that, concealment is also needed in this situation so that the enemy doesn't spot me, but I won't talk about that now, and will only focus on the view range so that the video isn't long. There are two pieces of equipment, which are specifically for increasing the view range, and I will explain about these first. The first is a binocular telescope which can increase the view range by a maximum of 27.5%. The second is coated optics which can increase the view range by a maximum of 11.5%. Then which one is the best? Is it necessary to install both? First of all, you need to know that the maximum view range is 445 meters, and will not be more than that. So even though the number seen here is more than 445 meters, it will be useless, because the maximum viewing range for enemy vehicle spots is only 445 meters and no more. On the battlefield you can find out the distance of 445 meters by looking at the white circle on the mini-map, that is the spotting range circle, which is 445 meters. So if you are in an open area then within that distance you will spot the enemy, and vice versa the enemy will also spot you, if both have a maximum view range. Currently, apart from the white circle, you can also see a green circle inside it, and that is the view range circle, where currently my view range is 430 meters. Even though it's not optimal, for me it's enough, because if I'm spotted and the enemy can't be seen, I only need to move 15 meters forward so I can spot the enemy, and currently what I'm using is coated optics. Actually I could use a binocular telescope to maximize my view range, but I think coated optics are more effective for this vehicle, because the binocular telescope will only work after stopping for 3 seconds, so if I always move like this and rarely stop then it won't work, so I can still tolerate a 15-meter shortfall rather than having to frequently stop for 3 seconds. Or I could use both, but seriously, is anyone going to do that? I hope no one does that. It's completely ineffective, because there are many other equipment that are more important to use, such as equipment for mobility and concealment. So in this video I will also explain in detail so you can choose which one is more suitable and effective for the vehicle you are going to play with. For coated optics, you have seen how it works in this video clip. After installing it, the view range will remain constant and will not change, as long as there is no module damage or crew injury. Previously I thought it was necessary to explain about enemies that have been spotted. As you can see, there is a yellow circle on the minimap, that is the draw circle. I don't use that anymore now, so I made this snippet just to explain so that beginners who see this don't get confused. So the yellow circle is the maximum distance the enemy can be seen after being spotted. In this case the enemy is spotted by another player, but I can still see the enemy even though I am further away than my view range. And that also applies to all vehicles, including player vehicles in the team and vehicles that have been destroyed. Here you can see on the minimap, there is a Skoda T24 that has been spotted, but it is outside the yellow circle, so I can't see it at all. For that I need to move forward so that he is in the yellow circle and I can see him. For additional information, the maximum distance of the draw circle is 569 meters, and as you can see the destroyed vehicle disappeared from my view after I moved backwards and the distance reached 570 meters. To activate and deactivate the circle, you can look in the settings and scroll down, and you can check or uncheck it in this section. So for beginners, I hope you understand and can differentiate between the two view ranges and can utilize this knowledge in the game. Back to the previous topic, as you can see I'm currently using a binocular telescope, and it's not working yet because I'm still moving, so I need to stop for 3 seconds to make the binocular telescope work. And you can see that the binocular telescope is working now after I stopped for 3 seconds. The green circle is no longer visible because it is covered by the white circle, but if you pay closer attention you will see that there is a green shadow on the white circle. You can also see the green shadow on the binocular telescope sign below. Then when my vehicle moved, the binocular telescope stopped working. That's the disadvantage when compared to coated optics. If it's in an open area and there are enemies who have the maximum view range, of course the enemy will spot me first before I can spot them. And I might have been destroyed before I could spot them. So that's how it works, just like how camouflage net works. Next, I will give a few suggestions to make it easier for you to choose between the two equipment. There are several things that must be considered when choosing between these two equipment, such as the type of vehicle and what the standard view range is, then your playing style and several other things that I can't mention all. For the type of vehicle, the one that needs and must increase the view range is the light tank, because in a team that is the main task of spotting the enemy. But it's also a good idea for a medium tank to increase the view range, because sometimes the light tank on the team may have been destroyed quickly at the start of the battle, so the medium tank can replace the light tank's task of spotting the enemy. Or it could also be that the light tank in the team cannot be relied on, for example going to an inappropriate location, lack of experience, not using the appropriate equipment so it is ineffective, and various other reasons. As happened in this battle footage, where 2 light tanks have been destroyed and the other one is behind. Previously we already knew how the equipment works, and of course coated optics work better, but the percentage is not as big as a binocular telescope. So before deciding we need to see what the total view range will be if we install coated optics. If it is sufficient or not too far from 445 meters, then coated optics is definitely the right and best choice. For example, on this HWK-12 vehicle, the standard view range is quite high and just by installing coated optics it is more than we need. Next on SPIC, the view range is slightly lower, and after installing coated optics the amount is not too far from what we need. In my opinion it is actually enough, and if there is no other more important equipment we can install improved ventilation to increase it again. Or for light tanks we can move them to the first slot, or we will get additional, from the previous 10% to 11.5%, if scouting category equipment is installed. If the view range is still lacking and only a little, we can still increase it with the skills of the crew. There are 3 skills that have the effect of increasing the view range. The first is Brothers in Arms. The second is Recon. The third is Situational Awareness. So we can use these 3 skills to improve, or to cover up if there is a slight deficiency in the view range. If your view range is still far from sufficient after using coated optics, then the last option is to use a binocular telescope. We discussed how it works earlier, and this is a clip of one of my battles when using it. I'm currently playing with tier 6 and it happens to be the highest tier. I'm sure most players in this battle didn't maximize their view range. So on this occasion I was able to take advantage of my view range, where I could spot and hit them, while they couldn't spot me from the other side. And this is another incident where I spotted one of the enemy vehicles and shot him, while he couldn't spot me at all. In this incident, I deliberately kept my distance from the vehicle that my team had spotted, then shot him from a distance where he couldn't spot me. So knowledge about view range is very useful in the game. Apart from spotting enemies, you can also use this knowledge so that enemies don't spot you, like in this incident. Many old players don't know about this, and this is one of the proofs among the many pieces of evidence and incidents that I have experienced. You can see the enemy was spotted by me from my position and I got spotting damage. And someone from my team also shot me in the back. I think you know what he meant by that. Not long afterward someone said this in chat. I think he was the one who previously shot when I spot T34/100. At first I was surprised to see his statistics, which were quite good. We can see here that he mostly plays at tier 8 and above. And after checking in more detail I realized he was a player who spent a lot of money. We can see that from the number of tier 10s and tier 9s, as well as the premium tanks he has. Including the tank he is currently playing, which is one of the premium tanks and is the one he plays most often. And it turns out that's how he got his statistics in WTR, just playing several types of tanks that are classified as OP tanks. So even though it looks good, from here we can know that statistics in WTR are not a guarantee that the player has a lot of experience. He doesn't even know I can spot the enemy from my position. It turns out he also plays several light tanks, one of which is the LT-432, which he often plays, which is also a premium tank. I think he should know a few things about light tanks and their viewing range. Maybe he's just a spoiled person who likes to order things around and complain. I don't know. What is clear is that he lacks knowledge. And this is the player who previously shot me in the back, now calling me an idiot bot. And after checking his statistics it turns out he has played more than 67,000 battles, which is really hard to believe, because after fighting that many times he doesn't even have enough knowledge about this game, and just likes to babble and blame other people. I don't dare consider myself the most experienced, but at least I'm sure I had enough experience when I decided to make a video about this game, and will prove it from all the videos I'll make in the future. And this is not only about experience but also perspective, because if we only see and observe from one side it will certainly be different compared to seeing and observing from various sides. Hopefully this video is useful. If you have suggestions or questions please write them in the comments column. See you soon.